안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. 오늘은 토요일에 11월 27일에 today is Saturday, November 27th, 2021. And welcome to climatehope.us. We are collecting 100 stories of climate joy, hope, and action. We were recently talking to my friend Stephanie about her joy of oceans, and we are continuing on that theme. This is the page that is attached to her story about how to take action as it relates to oceans and ending the global climate crisis as it affects ocean communities and other frontline communities. This page talks about Sustainable Development Goal number 14 of the United Nations. So here's the United Nations logo. Here's the logo for Development Goal number 14. If you actually look it up, it's to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. So shout out today to the Jaws Country Store. They are located on the north shore of Maui on the road to Hana. And on the road to Hana is actually the Jaws surf site, famous big wave surf site. This is what it looks like when there are big waves, usually in the winter. And remembering the joy of oceans and remembering my love of surfing is a way to help me remember the importance of preserving oceans and ending the global climate crisis. So this is the page from, if you click on this link here, become an ocean action volunteer. I love the simplicity and beauty of this page. Please use this hashtag Save Our Ocean for anything you post relating to the work you're doing on ocean action. And if you click on this link, you come up with this page, join the Ocean Action Campaign. It talks about SDG 14. For those of you who are BTS fans, BTS is in town. And back in September when they were in New York, they were talking at the United Nations about ending the global climate crisis and the impacts on young people and youth. And they were meeting with President Moon Jae-in from Korea about the Sustainable Development Goals. So they actually have little pins or photos of them with various dignitaries at the United Nations with this pin. It's not on this page, but it's this pin up here on the top, multicolored circle pin, and that is to show their support of sustainable development goals. They are ambassadors for youth and young people from Korea and global superstars. So we're going to talk more about BTS later, but this bullet list is what we've been talking about, actions we can take. So to make it more real, because it can be overwhelming thinking about climate action, I want to focus on this first one, stop use of single-use plastics. You're welcome to look at the other bullets. We talk about it in the other video and how you can join the Ocean Action Hub to connect with people around the world thinking about this from the Ocean Action Hub website. All right, but we're going to focus on plastics because it's very, very difficult to avoid the use of plastics. There are single-use plastics. The most common ones are, plastic bottles, shopping bags, but we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we have some suggestions for how to think about it. Unfortunately, there is a huge plastic garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean, and it's not just one, it's actually several, because we have so much plastic waste that ends up in landfills and ends up in the ocean. Here is a graphic of the two garbage patches. One is between California and Hawaii, one is kind of off the coast of Japan here, Japan and Korea, off the coast of the Philippines. It has to do with the way the waters go. And there's actually a bunch of garbage in the middle, not surprising. And this website is from the National Geographic Society. I like them. They're a science-based organization. We've been huge fans of them ever since we were kids. This is how we learned about science and about wildlife. And here is a picture of the garbage patch, unfortunately, from under the water. It sits near the surface of the ocean. These are microplastics. The problem with plastics is they do not biodegrade. So they just break down and break down and break down until they come in these microbeads of microplastics. They look like food to fish. And unfortunately, there is a lot of wildlife that actually eats these plastics. Here is a picture of an albatross that has eaten a bunch of plastic and probably died from it because of malnutrition. A turtle that's stuck in plastic waste. So these are depressing and difficult photos to note, but it's also important to be able to look. And before you get too depressed, I want to talk about the efforts to clean up the Pacific garbage patch. This is an article from a month ago, and this is a very hopeful article from USA Today. About 63,000 pounds of trash were just pulled from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or at least one of them, because there apparently is more than one. A fridge and toilet seats included among the garbage. The other good news is the plastic taken out from the Pacific Garbage Patch, they're saying 95% of it is recyclable, assuming there's enough recycling sites to recycle it. And just keep in mind that recycling sites and recycling still takes energy, and energy uses fossil fuels. So we don't want to keep feeding into the same problem that we're trying to solve. And that's really what this Take Action is all about. This is the organization that's discussed in that article, the Ocean Cleanup. They're a 501c3, and they worked on that cleanup effort, the 63,000 pounds. So action item number one, if you're looking for to support an organization on the ocean cleanup, this is a great place to start. Take a look at their site. They talk about their efforts to clean it up. All right, here's the second issue. The second issue is that plastics are made from fossil fuels. And what's happening is because of the lowering consumer demand for fossil fuels for energy, for housing, to heat our homes and to heat our food, for transportation in North America, and the rise of renewable energies, which is great for the push to slow and end and reverse the global climate crisis. Unfortunately, the oil and gas industry is trying to push and increase the use of plastics. And this article is from 2019. It is from the Yale Environment 360, which is from the Yale School of Environment. So a bunch of environmental scientists, huge fans of scientists, especially thinking about the global climate crisis. This article was written by this person, Beth Gardner, and was republished in Grist with a new title. The new title is Big Oil's Plan B is already in the pipeline. They use the pipeline in particular for a reason, because we have a big issue with pipelines. So pipelines are a huge environmental justice, racial justice issue. They are often fed through poor communities. They use eminent domain to take people's land. And in the case of Line 3 and other pipelines, there's actually a number of pipelines that Indigenous communities have been fighting for their sovereignty and for their treaty rights. So Line 3 has gotten a lot of publicity in the last year. There's a lot of grassroots campaigns to stop Line 3 and the rebuilding of Line 3. What they're trying to do is bring tar sands oil from Alberta to the Great Lakes so they can export it for production mostly of plastics. So all of this is tied. It's not just tied to how we, what we fuel our cars with and what we fuel our homes with, but it's also tied to the production of plastics. So that's the second issue. There's an attempt to build of non-US companies coming to the United States to build plastic plants and plastic production plants. One of them, a huge one, is actually being planned for Cancer Alley in Louisiana. If you don't know what Cancer Alley is this this part of Louisiana between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, I believe, that has some of the highest incidence of cancer. And as you can see, it's mostly, well, this is actually the head of the EPA, Michael Regan, but Cancer Alley is, it's mostly historically Black communities and Indigenous communities. And so it is creating a whole racial justice and environmental justice issue. This article is about Appalachia. And it also, Appalachia is a historically poor community in the mountains of West Virginia and surrounding regions, and they're actually trying to build plastic plants there as well. It is no surprise that these poor communities and these communities of color and Indigenous communities are being targeted to actually house these toxic production sites. So there's already a problem in Cancer Alley. So take action number 2 is Rise St. James. So St. James is a site where they're proposing to build a huge plastic production plant in Louisiana. As you can see, it's a mostly BIPOC-led Black and Indigenous and other people of color organization because it's historically Black and Indigenous communities. You check them out and the work they do, and they're another good organization to support. We're near the end of the year, the calendar year. There's a lot of people thinking about their charitable giving for 2021. All right, last, we're going to talk about individual action. Sometimes people poo-poo individual action. I think it's crucially important, especially for people in the United States and North America, because of how much we consume. The United States is the largest consumer of greenhouse gases and the largest producer of greenhouse gases in the world per capita. We talk about how China actually produces more, but we produce more per capita, and the United States produces more over history. So we have have an extra responsibility to look at our individual actions, and on a mass scale, it can make an enormous difference. Consumer behavior drives company behavior, and it drives economies. So we need to take our responsibility in it. This is one of my favorite articles. It's from this organization, rusticelk.com, 30 ways to eliminate plastic from your life. I like it because it has a lot of very concrete things that are a little bit hard for us to think about. Some of them are the obvious ones, like never drink bottled water, shop with reusable shopping bags. This third one I find a little bit hard, make your own reusable cling wrap, but they actually have a little link to how you can find how to do it. I personally like reusable silicone container covers, because that has eliminated our need to even think about plastic wrap or aluminum foil. And they have a number of other suggestions. One of the suggestions I picked up from them was actually, this is another article about that, was bamboo toothbrushes. It does bum me out when my toothbrush is ready to be tossed. That I mean, I can recycle it because we do recycle plastic here in San Francisco, but not all places have that level of plastic recycling. And why even produce it? Because it takes energy to recycle plastic. So this is completely 100% compostable from this organization, Ecocation. Here's another example, menstrual pads for those people who menstruate. These are bamboo pads, and it can eliminate the need for the use of plastic menstrual pads. Huge amount of plastic waste in our landfills. These are silicone covers from the Walmart website. And this particular one here, these are the covers. This style is the one I like the most because you can use it for any particular shape of container. You don't have to actually buy their containers as well. Shampoo bars. I found this random YouTube ad. I was watching BTS videos and trying to learn some new choreography, and like a shampoo bar ad came, and they're making shampoo bars 100% biodegradable in completely compostable packaging. So here's an example from the Earthling company. You can take a look at the places you like to shop. Where are you going to put your shampoo bar? Well, a bamboo soap dish might be a good option rather than a plastic soap dish. I actually thought that bottom might be plastic, but if you look into it, this is an organization, Hemlock Park, where the bottom is actually also made of bamboo and 100% biodegradable. So when that soap dish is ready to go, maybe it can go in the composting bin. All right. Here is an example of toothpaste. I've always been kind of like puzzled by like these toothpaste containers, the squeeze containers. I can't tell that they're recyclable. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but you can get tooth powder in glass jars. This is just one example from this company, Mountain Rose Herbs. This is like dish soap bar. You don't actually need to get dish soap in liquid form. So here's also from Ecocation, a dish soap bar that they put it in a glass container to use it for washing dishes. And lastly, what are you going to do with your shampoo bar? Perhaps put it in a completely biodegradable bamboo shower caddy that's made from bamboo. I'm a huge fan of bamboo because it is a renewable wood source. It grows fast, it can be farmed, and it can avoid the need to cut down old forests. So go out there, take climate action. What brings you joy, and how will it motivate you to take climate action? One of the things that brings me joy is dancing to BTS. So the dance video is once again the choreography of Ara Cho from 1 Million Dance Studio in Gangnam, Seoul, South Korea. The collaboration with Coldplay and BTS on the song My Universe. This is our universe. This is our world. Fight for it hard, sing for it hard, dance for it, and fight. Let's end racism. Let's end the global climate crisis. Let's end the impacts on frontline communities, communities of color, and ocean communities. I'll see you on the dance floor. Let's take climate action.
In the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture, that bright infinity inside your eyes. 매일 밤 내게 날아가 꿈이란 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나. Never ending forever baby.
Go out there, take climate action. Let's clean up the garbage patch and avoid additional plastic waste. Let's end racism and protect frontline communities. See you out there. Bye.